Morning and welcome home to Live Oak Unitarian Universalist Church, and happy Easter. I'm Reverend Joanna and my pronouns are she, her. Thank you for joining us, we who bring a teaching of hope, we who bring a saving message, who welcome all in our doors. There we go. Jews and Christians, atheists and pagans, straight, gay, lesbian and bisexual, cisgender, transgender, non-binary and intersex, all who are searching, seeking, looking for more meaning, more service, more love. All of us gathered here together. I would like to invite you to put your smartphone on what we call the worship mode. That means it's not going to make any sounds during the service, but you are absolutely encouraged to send out messages, share with other people a little bit about what we're doing here, maybe even give them an invitation to join you here next week. Please rise now, either in body or in spirit, and join us in singing Blue Boat Home, and remain standing for our chalice lighting.
I am in that habit too. Our chalice today is being lit by Lucian. This is a congregation, and maybe Arden. This is a congregation bound not by creed, but by covenant. May those in agreement affirm our church covenant now. We affirm a caring community of and for all ages, seeking wisdom, doing service, and living with integrity. In our diversity, our covenant holds us in unity as we celebrate our shared spiritual journey. Now you can sit down. Thank you, Lucian and Arden. Hello, happy Easter, happy spring. My name is Lindy Dower, and my pronouns are she, her. One thing I particularly love about this church is not a thing. but a person. Our DLFD, Director of Lifespan Faith Development, Chris Jarman. She works hard and makes it look effortless, and she always finds the perfect story for our time of wonder. I'd like to welcome any guests we have today. Thank you for taking a chance to walk through our doors and join us for worship. If this is your first time here, please stop by the visitors table out in the Welcoming Center so we can meet you and answer any questions you might have. This is a church that is buzzing 7 days a week. The definitive way to keep up with what's happening is through our weekly email newsletter, and you can sign up for it online at liveoakuu.org or at the visitors table. Just click on what's happening online. Live Oak UU has many ways for you to connect with our beloved community beyond Sundays. Opportunities are shared on our website or newsletter. One event that's happening this week is our Wednesday Community SAC Lunch. Bring your lunch and meet in the fellowship hall and get to know people better. Our call to worship is from Thich Nhat Hanh, quote, "Without suffering, there's no happiness. So we shouldn't discriminate against the mud. We have to learn how to embrace and cradle our own suffering and the suffering of the world with lots of tenderness," end quote. Come into this place, our house of worship, what I call my community and lifeline. Please join me in singing. I'm not going to sing it by myself. Okay. You don't want to hear me. Oh, not quite yet, sorry.
Each Sunday when we gather as a congregation, we bring our joys and sorrows with us into this room. When we ask for remembrance or celebration or prayer or thoughts, we make of this sanctuary a sacred circle. And we have a joy from Arden. I have a new Lego mech. And another toy Apollo shares, I got a new car. Well, not new, it's used, but I got an amazing deal, and it's a hybrid. I only had to do a little bit of work on it. I love it. And Sparkle shares the joy. I, along with 4 other LGBTQ elders, will be performing at the Vortex, 2307 Manor Road, May 8th to 10th, in Amaging, which is a cross between aging and amazing. Okay, and a late-breaking message from Luke West, still waiting for baby girl to arrive. We see a doctor on Tuesday and have early signals, but it ain't go time yet. And now, please join me in singing. Please rise now as you are willing and able for hymn number 1051, We Are.
Let's Happy Easter. I wonder why we celebrate Easter. And today I want to share a story that is very old but not forgotten. It's a story that many people around the world know extremely well. It's the story of Jesus. Jesus was a great teacher who lived long, long ago. He wasn't powerful in the ways of kings or emperors, the way they're powerful. He didn't lead armies or write laws, but he had something just as strong, maybe even stronger, the message of love. Jesus taught people to care for the poor, to forgive those who had hurt them, and to love one another, because each person, each one of you, is precious. He spoke of a love that was big enough to include everyone, no matter who they were or where they came from. Jesus' message touched many people. 12 of his closest friends and students were called his disciples. They walked with him, listened to his teachings, and tried to live their lives the way he taught. But not everyone agreed with Jesus. You see, in his time, both Roman and Jewish leaders were afraid of the change he inspired. They were afraid of his message and that it would upset the way things were. Eventually, one of Jesus' own disciples, Judas, helped these leaders carry out their plan. And after a special meal with his disciples to celebrate Passover, Jesus was arrested. And soon after, he was killed. That could have been the end of the story, but it wasn't. What happened after Jesus died became the beginning of a new religion, Christianity. Many Christians believe that Jesus rose from the dead and went to heaven, and that belief is called the resurrection. Unitarian Universalists often understand this part of the story just a little differently. A wise UU teacher named Sophia Lyons-Foss once told the story this way. After Jesus died, his followers were heartbroken. They couldn't believe that someone who had done so much good in the world could be taken from them in such a painful way. They gathered in each other's homes. They cried together. They remembered together. And the more they remembered, the more alive Jesus seemed. They told stories about him, about his kindness, his courage, the way he made people feel seen and loved. They remembered the tone of his voice, the look on his face, and in some moments, the memories were so vivid, it felt like Jesus was still with them. Some even had dreams where Jesus seemed so real that they weren't sure if they had been sleeping or if they were awake. A few of them said that they had seen him again. And slowly, these stories turned into something bigger and bigger. And they began to say that Jesus had risen from the dead and believed he had gone to heaven to sit with God. Some believed that he would return one day to save the world, and that's why to this day, many Christians refer to him as the Savior. More than 2,000 years have passed, and Jesus has not come back, not in body. And many Unitarian Universalists believe that he never will. We don't wait for his return. We don't need to, because his Spirit, the Spirit of his love, his justice, his compassion, is still with us. Not in miracles, but in the stories that we tell, in the way we treat each other, in the way we live, in the way we share our love. Jesus taught the golden rule. Anybody remember the golden rule? Yeah? Treat others the way you want to be treated. He said the poor and the hurting are loved by God, so we must love them too. He reminded people that peace was more powerful than violence and that forgiveness Well, forgiveness can be stronger than any revenge. His body may be gone, but his words and his value and his example, these live on. Just like when we lose someone we love, we carry their memory with us in our heart. We carry the laughter, the tears, the everyday acts of kindness. So too do many people across many faiths and generations carry the Spirit of Jesus. Unitarian Universalists tell this story not to say that everyone must believe the same things about it, but to reflect on the deeper meaning that it holds. What does it mean to live with such love that even death does not end your influence? How can you hope to rise up even in the hardest time? And how do we carry forward values of compassion, justice, and peace in our own lives? So today, whether you're young or you're wise, may you know this, that love can rise again and again, even after loss, that justice can grow even when hope feels small, and that the best stories don't always end. They live on in all of us. Amen, and so may it be.
Drops in the morning, shake their little diamond heads, sparkling, flashing, ever moving from their silent little beds. Watch the dewdrops in the morning, shake their little diamond heads, sparkling, flashing, ever moving from their silent little beds. See grass, each blade is brighter, roots are shrinking by mistake. The grass is blade is brighter, 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 roots are strengthened by mistake. Like the dewdrops land and scatter.
Our reading today is No Mud, No Lotus, The Art of Transforming Suffering by Thich Nhat Hanh. Both suffering and happiness are of an organic nature, which means they are both transitory. They're always changing. The flower, when it wilts, becomes the compost. The compost can help grow a flower again. Happiness is also organic and impermanent by nature. it can become suffering, and suffering can become happiness again. In each of our Plum Village practice centers around the world, we have a lotus pond. Everyone knows we need to have mud for lotuses to grow. The mud doesn't smell so good, but the lotus flower smells very good. If you don't have mud, the lotus won't manifest. You can't grow lotus flowers on marble. Without mud, there can be no lotus. When I lived in Vietnam during the war, it was difficult to see our way through that dark and heavy mud. It seemed like the destruction would just go on forever. Every day, people would ask me if I thought the war would end soon. It was a very difficult question to answer because there was no end in sight. But I knew if I said, I don't know, that would only water their seeds of despair. So when people asked me that question, I replied, everything is impermanent, even war. It will end someday. Knowing that, we could continue to work for peace. Hi, Amelia. I'm sorry, I just love her. Everything is impermanent, even war. It will end someday. Knowing that, we could continue to work for peace. And indeed, the war did end. Now the former mortal enemies are busily trading and touring back and forth, and people throughout the world enjoy practicing our traditions' teachings on mindfulness and peace. If you know how to make good use of the mud, you can grow beautiful lotuses. If you know how to make good use of suffering, you can produce happiness. We do need some suffering to make happiness possible. And most of us have enough suffering inside and around us to be able to do that. We don't have to create more.
When it comes to Easter, to the story of the last days of Jesus' life, I can't tell you what is factual. We simply don't know. But I don't really care. Whenever there is a story that has stood the test of time, whether it is factual or fable, much of the time what it tells us about is something about the human condition and or life itself. And so I think this is one of the reasons why even those who would not say that the Easter story is a significant part of their faith, we keep coming back to this story, right? We want to watch the different movies about it, whether it is Godspell or Jesus Christ Superstar. There's something about the story. And I find that every year there's something different that becomes kind of the point of focus for me. This year, it is thinking about the uncertainty. Go ahead and bring up my slides, please. We know the broad picture of what happens, right? There's Good Friday, which is where Jesus is executed by the state because leaders felt that he was a threat to their power. We know what happens on Sunday, though, as Chris explained, we may have different beliefs about specifically what that was, but they go to the tomb, and the tomb is empty. For some, especially conservative or Orthodox Christians, they will see that as a bodily resurrection. I think there is just as much meaning for us, for those of us who see it as metaphor. I think that it is powerful, the whole idea of loved ones and followers saying, you know what, we are not going to let the vision that this person had die along with them. But this year, what I'm thinking about is the fact that at that time, no matter what is factual, his followers and his friends and his family, they didn't know on Friday and Saturday what was to come. They didn't know the whole picture. And so for them, they were stuck in grief. They didn't know what was coming. I'm sure that there was a lot of fear around that, a lot of feeling that they should not be associated with Jesus because they too might come under the focus of those leaders who felt threatened. And this year, I think that there's a lot in this that we can relate to. I think that since January, a lot of us have felt like we've been living in Good Friday, right? We are in grief. We're in grief for our country. We are in grief at seeing other Americans express such cruelty or just not caring about people with the least amount of privilege, people who are being deported. And deported is really not even the word for what is happening in El Salvador, right? They are being imprisoned in a place that the rumors about it seem absolutely horrific. So no surprise that we are sitting in this feeling of Good Friday. We don't know what comes next, just as his followers did not. Christians will often talk about this idea of you have to go through Good Friday in order to get to Easter. There is no Easter without Good Friday, and I really love the fact that Buddhism has its own version of that, with there is no Lotus without the mud. Now, you are never going to hear me say that everything happens for a reason. For one thing, it's doing this sort of backwards engineering, right, where you're taking the consequences and somehow making that the cause of something, and that just doesn't work with my brain. But more importantly, there are some things that are so horrific, there cannot be a good enough reason. And also, because life is complex, I think that one of the most endearing things about humans is the fact that we do try to get something good from even the most heartbreaking times. If someone dies, especially in a tragic way, we don't want their death to have been in vain. Isn't that something that you hear a lot? And when we go through our own tough times, I know I'm not the only one who says, okay, what am I supposed to be learning from this? Or as my spouse and I sometimes say, oh, look, it's another great character building experience. But most of the time it is, right? There is also something about this idea that positive things that come later, that it really was part of the negative thing in order for that next thing to happen. And when we look at history, I think that we can see this over and over again. Interesting thing that I just ran into. So you know the Dred Scott decision, right? So this was perhaps what has been called the worst Supreme Court decision of all time. That was in 1857 when the Supreme Court said that a black person could not become a citizen of the United States. And there were other parts of it as well. It also said that Congress could not say that certain states, did not have slavery. It was a terrible, terrible thing. Do you know who it gave hope to? Frederick Douglass. the black abolitionist. He wrote, "You will readily ask me how I am affected by this devilish decision, this judicial incarnation of wolfishness. My answer is, and no thanks to the slave-holding wing of the Supreme Court, my hopes were never brighter than now. I have no fear that the national conscience will be put to sleep by such an open, glaring, and scandalous tissue of lies as that decision is and has been over and over shown to be." Frederick Douglass looked at this terrible thing, this Good Friday of a decision, and said, "I think that that is going to lead us to Easter." When we look at history, this does happen time and time again. We have, in the last couple of months, we've been hearing a lot about a law from 1798, right? 1798, it's called the Alien Enemies Act. It's being used to justify sending people from Venezuela to El Salvador, to the prison there. The executive branch has indicated they want to use it in other ways as well. Let me tell you a little bit about the history of that. So the Alien Enemies Act was one of a portfolio of 4 laws. Now, at this time, we didn't have political parties who operated in the same way that we think of today, but you absolutely had factions, and you had the Federalists and the Democratic Republicans. So on one side, on the Federalist side, you had John Adams, and with the Republicans, you had Thomas Jefferson. So the Federalists, under John Adams, had complete control. They controlled the House, the Senate, and obviously the presidency. The Federalist, one of the chief differences between these factions is that, and it hurts me to share this because in some ways I look at Unitarian John Adams and he was so wise, but we all miss the mark in different ways. The Federalists believed that all of this stuff about democracy and individual human rights, that the country had taken that a little bit too far and needed to rein it in. And so they passed these 4 laws, the Naturalization Act, which meant that if you were an immigrant, it would take you 14 years to become a citizen, the Alien Friends Act, the Sedition Act, and then the Alien Enemies Act. And these, like the Sedition Act, that was a law where it said that anyone, including citizens, could be imprisoned if they expressed something that was not sufficiently loyal to the government. This is part of our history too. And none of these laws were popular at the time, including the Alien Enemies Act. Representative Matthew Lyon of Vermont said this: "The suspected alien is subjected to the mortifying alternative of quitting the territory of the United States or suffering imprisonment during the pleasure of the suspecting president. Thus, the unfortunate immigrant from a land of despotism to the nominal residence of liberty is liable to be suspected, condemned, and transported or imprisoned without even the form of a public trial, without judge or jury, without any of the rights of defense as established by law, as established by the Constitution." I've heard people say that history does not repeat itself, but it rhymes. I don't know, this seems more like that could be said right now, right? Sometimes I think we just plain repeat ourselves. Under the Sedition Act, politicians and newspaper editors and even just regular old folks were put on trial and were imprisoned, including Matthew Lyon. Not just for this, but he also had some words specifically about John Adams that John Adams did not like. He was imprisoned for that. But these 4 laws were so unpopular because people at that time really believed in the vision that other leaders had been talking about, things expressed in the Bill of Rights. They believed that they were creating something really special here. And so to have these laws put into effect, it was offensive to them. Matthew Lyon, while he was in prison, he ran for re-election and won in an absolute landslide. The Federalists, at the next major election, lost, were swept out of office. Not only did they lose that election, ultimately passing those 4 laws, it led to the annihilation of the Federalists as a faction or as a party. Because of their overstepping, they wrote their own death warrant for their party. History shows us that we do, when we go through something terrible, something that offends a larger vision that we have as a people, that there is a pushback. Martin Luther King was a Christian and really believed in this idea that as we go through a Good Friday, that there is an Easter that is coming. And this morning, I wanted to share, it's a little bit longer piece, but I think that it's exactly what we need to hear today. There is another question that men like to ask. Is the universe on the side of the forces of justice and goodness? Sometimes it looks dark, and sometimes people come to feel that the universe is on the other side, that the universe seems to say amen to the forces of injustice. And oh, it looked dark for people centuries ago, looked like everything that they had stood for had gone. You know, every now and then, my friends, I doubt. Every now and then I get disturbed myself. Every now and then I become bewildered about this thing. I begin to despair every now and then and wonder why it is that the forces of evil seem to reign supreme and the forces of goodness seem to be trampled over. I begin to despair sometimes. It seems that Good Friday has the throne. It seems that the forces of injustice reign supreme. But then in the midst of that, something else comes to me. And I can hear something saying, King, you are stopping at Good Friday, but don't you know that Easter is coming? Don't worry about this thing. You are just in the midst of the transition now. You are in the midst of Good Friday now. But I want you to know, King, that Easter is coming. One day truth will rise up and reign supreme. One day justice will rise up. And when I hear that, I don't despair. I can cry out and sing with new meaning. This is the meaning of Easter. It answers the profound question that we confront in Montgomery. And if we can just stand with it, if we can just live with Good Friday, things will be all right. For I know that Easter is coming and I can see it now. And I want to tell you one more thing. People are always asking, what is the most durable power in the universe? And the fact is that Easter answers that question too. You wonder about it. What is the heartbeat of the moral cosmos? What is it? Philosophers have tried to grapple with it over the years. But I tell you, I want to reach out and get one morally established principle for you, and that is the basic an underlying principle of the universe that is the most durable power in the world. And do you know what it is? It is the power of love. Easter tells us that. Sometimes it looks like the other powers are much more durable. Then we come to see that isn't true, but the most durable, lasting power in this world is the power of love. And my friends, it seems to me that history tells us that. History's a running commentary of it. We have seen the forces of military power hold the throne for a while, haven't we? And it looked like this was the most durable power in the world. It seemed that might made right. It seemed that somehow the more guns and the more ammunition you could get, the greater the power was, the greater the durability of it. Then, at every point in history, we have been able to see that this kind of power passes away. Our own Unitarian in the 1800s, Theodore Parker, you've heard that whole thing about the arc of the universe bending toward justice. That came not from MLK, he borrowed it from Theodore Parker, who said, I can't see that far with my human eye, but from what I have seen with this arc of the universe, I am sure that it bends toward justice. And then he said, and this is the part of the quote that people often skip over, he said, things refuse to be mismanaged for long. Now, Theodore Parker didn't say how long was, but this is someone who was an abolitionist. This was someone who was a conductor on the Underground Railroad who literally kept a pistol at the same desk where he would write his sermons. So I think that he was taking a long view of what long was. There is no Lotus without the mud. And we have to go through Good Friday in order to get to Easter. This is not a message, though, that to tell us that it's okay, just sit back, things will automatically happen. They never have. And perhaps that is the biggest power of the story of Easter. Resurrection, in my Unitarian Universalist opinion, was a choice. The followers of Jesus said, we had this teacher who taught us a new way of living, who taught us a new way of living so that we could make heaven on earth. We could make life better for each other through kindness and love. And so we are going to choose to not let that vision disappear. We can make that choice too. Not only should we be down protesting and doing all of those things, but we can make life better for each other and for all the people out there through kindness and love. Happy Easter. And would you join me in a moment of reflection in words and in silence? Make yourself a little bit more comfortable. Close your eyes if that helps you to go inward. These words are by my colleague, the Reverend Peggy Clark. Easter is a holiday of miracles. It is life from death, joy from sorrow, celebration from mourning. Easter reminds us that all is never lost, that the story continues as long as we are here to tell it. So gather up your worries. We are going to bury them beneath the ground and watch them transform into flowers of hope, pushing through the earth, reminding us on Easter morning that love brings us back to life, calls us from sadness, from grief, from anxiety, into a world renewed and alive and filled with joy once again. And let's hold that for a moment in silence. Amen, and blessed be.
We are the tradition of the free church. Our church and our community outreach are supported not from an outside source, but from within. We invite you to make a financial contribution to help sustain this church's vital work, knowing that every gift, large and small, is appreciated and carefully used in service to our mission. The QR code or text information for donations is available at the back of your seat pocket. If you would like to donate by credit card, Apple or Google Pay, someone from stewardship can assist you near the kitchen after the service. Sorry. As the ushers come forward to receive the offering, I invite you to say with me these words. We are building beloved community within our labor. With gratitude, we receive the offering. May it help us to fulfill our mission in the world.
To be born, for the rain that we desperately needed, and for it stopping at a convenient time. It's time for us to move out of our Good Friday ways of being and move into an Easter sort of framework with hope and with purpose, and with knowing that every single day we have the power to put more love out into the world. Happy Easter.
This is your invitation to the Easter egg hunt. But first business, Jedi will be meeting in room 106 to be doing some planning with the Mosaic program. If you haven't heard about Mosaic, I'm going to tell you really quick what it is. It is our continuing work of dismantling white supremacy systems and anti-racism work and anti-oppression work, and it is spiraled. It means that it is a curriculum just like OWL, where we hit every age group going all the way up from the littlest to the oldest, repeatedly over time, just like OWL, and we're bringing it to this congregation because of Jedi. That's all I got. If you're interested and learning about being a facilitator of working with kids, with working with adults, you just need to see Lindy or Barbara Cold Iron. There you go. So they're in room 106. Now, also, I have to tell you that they need help removing chairs and tables after the Easter egg hunt out of the fellowship hall because our carpet is being resurrected and cleaned on Tuesday. So they need a couple of hands to help them out with that. So now the important thing. The thing of the day, the Easter egg hunt. So the Easter bunny realized that it was going to rain and left me some notes for today that they hid eggs throughout the building. Now, in order to find the eggs, you have to find the room or rooms that have a graphic like this. Now, the egg may look different. It may be a different egg than this one, but you'll find it on the outside of the door of the room that the Easter bunny was in. It starts on the second floor, and you're going to collect at least 8 eggs. Why 8 eggs? Come on, people, why 8 eggs? The 8 principles. So you have to get one for every principle. Now, what are we going to do with those eggs? You're going to bring them back to the fellowship hall, and there are 3 buckets that I have set up, and you're going to use your eggs to vote on where we're going to make a donation. So we have the food bank, we have an animal shelter, and we have the Texas Homeless Network, and you get to vote. Now, do all of your eggs need to go in one basket? No. Can you put all of your eggs in the same basket? Yes. Then what you're going to see is next to it is the treat table because your eggs are empty, except there may be some jokes in some of them, just letting you know. So at the table, you'll go through the table, and there is a treat that represents every one of the UU values. And we're going to walk through the values, and the last one is transformation. We're going to transform shaving cream, glue, and contact solution into slime. Transformation, taking something and creating something new out of it. And that's in room 105. Now, I'm going to invite all ages to participate. Everybody can do the Easter egg hunt. This isn't just for the young, it's for the wise also. So we're going to start, we're going to meet out here, so people in the fellowship hall, and we're going to go to the second floor first. There is no running. There are no eggs in the stairwell. You will go upstairs and you will find the rooms marked with the egg and find eggs. Come downstairs, we'll do our activities, and then guess what? The Easter bunny was also all over the first floor during the service. So you have a lot of eggs to find. So I look forward to having fun with you and learning about our values, and I wish you good hunting.
Do you see what I mean about our DLFD, Chris Jarman? Yeah. Okay, not time for Easter egg hunting yet. I invite you now to rise for our closing hymn, number 1074, Turn the World Around, and please remain standing for the extinguishing of our chalice.
Turn
Let us say these words to each other. We extinguish the flame here, that it may glow gently in our hearts. May it light your path as you leave this place. May it guide your way until we are together again. You can sit down now. It has been a gift to be together today. Every sound in this room has been a gift. Thank you today to today's home team who provided hospitality and worship, and the tech leadership. And I forgot to get all of your names, but you saw them in the welcoming hall, so thank you. Let's continue that hospitality by spending the next 5 minutes talking with someone you don't know yet. Members, be sure to introduce yourself to any first-time visitors we have. They're the ones with the handwritten name tags. And show them where the visitors table and the coffee are. And we're still going to have coffee despite the Easter egg hunt. And may we all know the blessings of fellowship.